What's going on, everybody? I didn't want to wait until 11 o'clock, so um, let's see who hops on here. Let's see who hops on. Give a couple minutes, but I wanted to point out something specific that I just saw that I found, and I'm going to put it up on the screen for you once we have some people in here. So I think it gives a little bit more clarity as to potentially what they're thinking of doing at the deadline. But we'll see. We will see. Um, Let me know when you're in here so I could say hi to you. Let me know, gang. And again, I just put out a video this morning, basically just echoing the sentiments of a lot of frustrated fans. But I went and I asked Brian Cashman, Hal Steinbrenner, what they're going to do, right? Because there are a lot of justifiably frustrated and angry fans. Totally get it. Totally get it. So, and there's a lot of information going out there, a lot of different feelings and stuff like that. And there's a lot of fighting going on between a lot of fan bases too, between the fan base. Even channels on here, right? Which is crazy. We're all rooting for the same team. We want to mobilize behind our team. And they're not making it easy for us to do that. They really aren't. Right? So, and that's, I think that needs to be addressed, right? What's up, Franchise Jay? What's good, man? What is good? So, and I found this something. I'm just gonna wait for a little bit more to see who else hops in. I'm gonna share something with you guys, and I will put it up on the screen. Right? We talked about the Yankees needing to make moves, right? And whether it be trades, call ups, or something, they need to kind of shake things up a little bit for the deadline, right? Or leading into the deadline. What they're going to do, we have no idea, right? And it's been the offense has been frustrating. They've been shut out more times than the fans would like, right? And but lately we've had a lot of issues with the pitching, the starting pitching and the bullpen. So do they need to be more aggressive with the pitching and more strategic with the bats? Is the question. Any prospects they want to package into a trade, should it be for an arm instead of a bat, or a couple arms instead of a couple bats? Could they get incremental bats in here without having to give up the players that they would give for a big arm, right? The Garrett Crochets, the whoever, Jack Flaherty's, and hopefully the Tarek Skubals, whatever, right? We don't know yet, but are those guys worth more than some of the other bats? Because the fact of the matter is, and I said this before, the only bat I would give up a lot of prospects for would be Ryan McMahon from the Rockies. Him would be a third base, which would represent a position of dire need for the Yankees in the corner infield spots, right? So do I think they need to upgrade at second base? Yeah, absolutely. But there's nobody at second base that represents the same type of prospect value that a Ryan McMahon would for the Yankees. So which that leaves arms, and generally big arms come with big prospect pack premiums, right? Requirements. And we're noticing that already, with Garrett Crochet, with whoever. It could be Jack Flaherty, it could be a pitcher from. And with the other problem is a lot of these arms or potential bats that are available are on teams that may want to hold on to them now. We thought we were going to sell. Now they're going to be buyers. Tim King, what's good, my man? So, and that to me is a revealing part too, which is going to change a lot of teams' approaches at the deadline, right? It'll make it harder for some teams to make deals, or it'll just be only because, or also because the prices are going to get jacked up for their players. They want to create a bidding war between two teams, now or three teams. No surprise. Yankees do that too, right? So, but this is a revealing stat, right? With all the frustrations, right? The Yankees hitting sucks and blah, blah, blah. And I do think a lot of it stemmed, not all of it, stemmed when Giancarlo Stanton got hit, because the roster was more, not a roster, the lineup was longer with Stanton in it. And guys were batting in a little bit more natural spots, right? What's up, Morning Brew? Heck there. What's good, brother? What's good? And excuse me, gang. Allergies this morning, but check this out. All right. I don't know about put past glory days, Kim, but check this out. This is a stat, and shout out to Ricky Ruggs, okay, for he's a member of the 161 family. But for pointing this out, I'm going to add this to the screen. You'll see here. Look who leads the A majors in runs scored. The Yankees. Okay. Excuse me again. I did not expect this. They're ahead of the Orioles, the Dodgers, the Twins, the Phillies, Diamondbacks, Guardians, even the Guardians, Brewers, Padres. They're number one. 467 runs in 93 games. That's just about an average of 5 runs per game. Okay? 5 runs per game average. That's my little assistant in the background. So, kind of crazy, right? And so maybe that means they need to be more strategic with the bats and more aggressive with the arms. Maybe it looks like they really do, because the fact is too, like at this point, who's the number 2 behind Garrett Cole in a playoff series? Nestor Cortez. We want it to be Carlos Rodon, but the problem is he keeps putting us in a hole too often, and the offense hasn't been able to get us out of it. And we have these bad first innings. You could settle down for 4 innings after that, but if we're down 4-0, we're down 4-0, right? Just like we were last night. Okay. Okay. And again, this is the thing. So, well, Joseph, the stats say otherwise. I mean, you know, they lead the majors. They lead the majors in runs scored. Okay, and you know, but yeah, they have been shut out a few times, and their offense has sputtered. But they started sputtering really when Giancarlo Stanton went down, because then they started playing Alex Verdugo and Gleyber Torres in the 4 and 5 spots, where these guys have no business being there, right? So I'm curious to see whether when Stanton comes back, does it give the offense a little bit of a shot in the arm? But do they need to be strategic with guys like Jazz Chisholm, like certain other guys that can get on base more opportunity, create more run scoring opportunities, put the ball in play to keep them at the top of that run scoring thing? And at the same time, do they need to be more aggressive in the bullpen and potentially in starting pitching? Right. So I'm curious to know what you guys think. And stuck on past Clay. Well, I don't know about I don't know what to say about that, Tim King. I don't know what to say, man. Like what? It's a different game now. It's a different approach. It's a different approach now, right? And one reason, you know, it's not an excuse, but one reason teams like the Orioles are so good is they had 8 or 10 years in a row of top 5 draft picks. The Yankees haven't had a top 10 draft pick, maybe 30 years. So that's part of it. It's not the only thing. There he is, Joey from the shift. I don't know if you saw this, Joey. I'm going to put this back up really quickly. There's some frustration with the Yankees offense, right? And we're talking about deadline. But look at this. The Yankees lead the majors. This is as of yesterday. They lead the majors in runs scored. At the very top, ahead of the Orioles, ahead of the Dodgers, Twins, Phillies, Diamondbacks, and the rest of them. Kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy. So, but it's true. And again, that doesn't mean the offense doesn't need improvements. The offense needs consistency, right? We need guys. So any move, I think, has to be strategic with the offense. We need guys that are going to put our big boppers in a position, because it can't just be all Judge and Soto. It can't be, right? We need Verdugo hitting in a more natural spot. We need whoever else hitting in a more natural spot, you know. And if we get somebody that's a little bit more of an ideal leadoff hitter, you can move Volpe down the lineup and create more length, right? These are strategic moves. There is no one player on the offensive side that can come in and turn the whole offense around. Nobody. This is a multiplayer fix, right? So, to me, the bigger difference makers right now, potentially at the deadline, are pitchers, bullpen, and starters. So, yeah, exactly. It doesn't scream 6 and 17. It doesn't, but those are the numbers, right? So, and this is what's crazy, because then you had like this crappy 6 and 17, and then you have this other stat that they're number 1 in baseball in runs scored, right? Which is nuts. which is completely nuts. So, that's also a clear sign that the pitching is, and we know this already, obviously, right? The starting pitching was lights out the first 2 months of the season, and they've been lights off since then. So, and it's very confusing. Very, very, very confusing. Well, this is what's a confusing part. Like Mike is saying, it's misleading. Those are the numbers. Those are the numbers. They could be shut out, but then averaging a boatload of runs in a game. So the fact of the matter is, the offense shows its potential, but we need them to be healthy, right? We need them to be consistent and I'll go back to when Stanton was here, the lineup was longer. He was producing when he was healthy, right? So, and he showed his importance and the impact that he could provide this team when he was healthy. So we need him to come back. Will it take him a while? Maybe. I have no idea. So, but to me, they clearly need to make bigger moves on the pitching side and more strategic moves on the offensive side. Like, I don't think there's a chance. Who on the offset? If you had a chance to get a second baseman and a third baseman, they could, but who would they be? We don't, and this is the other problem. We don't know who's available yet, right? We can hear that he's not available now. He could be available next week, so we have no idea. And so, and that's another frustrating part. And I understand there's a lot of frustrated fans, right? And justifiably so. And then you have a stat like this, it's like, what the hell's going on here, right? So they lead the majors in runs scored, and yet they're in an absolute rut, right? But who's putting them in the hole? The pitching. Madison. It's my little assistant. Who's putting them in the hole? The pitchers, right? So I think we need 2 more contact bats, right, Mike? Honestly, I think a leadoff hitter, and I had Hector on. We had a roundtable. We were talking about this, and we had a roundtable with Ryan from Fireside and NFE from the Strike Zone and Hector from Morning Brew, and we were talking about spitballing ideas and what's going, and yeah. Imagine J. Ram in the Bronx. That would be fantastic. The problem with that is the Guardians are never going to move him the way the Guardians are playing, right? It would be awesome. No doubt about it, Anna Maria. No doubt about it would be awesome, but they're not going to move him, right? Yeah, John. Yeah. And it's this is crazy. This is crazy. But there's so many people saying Boone's not inspiring the offense and Boone's the Boone job. I talked about this yesterday. This is not Little League baseball. This is not high school baseball. It's not his job to inspire the players. Okay? It's part of his role, yes. But these guys are paid athletes. This is their job. They're professional athletes. They are there to do a job. Okay? And when you have players making twice as much, sometimes 10 times as much as the boss or the coach or the manager, chances are you're not going to really be dialed into what the manager says. It doesn't matter who it is. But this is their job. And again, Boone doesn't sign their paychecks. Hal does. Right? So NFE's, there he is. There he is. We're just talking about this, NFE. I lost it. Where is it? The Yankees, I just had an article put up, sorry, NFE. The Yankees lead the majors in runs scored. They're number 1, which is crazy because it contradicts a lot of the stuff that we're hearing, right? So, they asked Boone if he saw how he said, "Oh, maybe they're behind." What we're hearing is the Yankees brass is in Tampa right now. They could be behind the scenes, and Boone's with the team, so I have no idea. He's not part of the brass anyway. He's with the team, Aaron Boone. So, but the brass is apparently meeting in Tampa, and hopefully it's not a symbolic gesture. We need them to actually do something, right? And this chart that we talked about just it's revealing. It's revealing. So strategic, I think, needs to be the word for the bats, and aggressive needs to be the word for the arms. It looks like. And the players, yes, they have to do it on the field, 100%. It's a completely different attitude, Mike. Exactly. And it's just people get the point. Blaming Boone and blaming Cashman for everything is a waste of time. Neither one of them signed the players' paychecks. Neither one of them. Hal does. It is a completely different attitude than it was before. Okay? The NFL is the same way. The NBA is the same way. Players make more than the coaches. It's not like a corporate job or whatever where the boss makes more than you. And people keep using this argument, well, if you didn't do anything for 5 years, the boss could fire you. Completely different. Completely different. Okay? We don't know what Hal's job responsibilities are according to Hal. I mean, for Cashman's job responsibilities are according to Hal. That's between them. When we don't know that, it leaves too much room for speculation and conspiracy theories and blah, blah, blah. So, right, Anna? But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. 467 runs scored, and if the average Yankees average 5 runs a game, and I think they've been shut out 5 or 6 times already. So, but they've also scored boatloads of runs in certain games. So the offense shows their potential, but it also shows that when one guy goes down, it wrecks cat. Like when Stanton went down, it created chaos in the lineup, and now they're pitching around Juan Soto. They don't have to pitch to him right now, right? Because they know that the guys behind him, with the exception of Judge, are not going to drive him in, right? So, and Joey from the Shift went into great detail in one of his videos the other day. So shout out to Joey for that. He talked about that too, pitching around Juan Soto. It's something that nobody's talking about, but it's happening. It's happening all over the place. Oh, complaining is fine, Anna. Complaining is therapeutic. But just saying fire Boone and fire Cashman, that's not complaint. That's an excuse. People can come to vent and complain all the time. But it's the same fire Boone, fire Cashman. And when I ask people, replace them with who, very rarely do I get the who. And when I ask why, I never get the why. It's the same old stuff. But it's these types of, this is where like people, and they start fighting with each other. Channels and content and channel communities start fighting with each other, all the type of stuff like this. You know, and unfortunately, Anna, but there's nothing wrong with venting is therapeutic, no doubt about it. So, 100% right. So, but at the same time, are we pissed off on good information? This clearly shows that we're not. Okay? We don't have all the information. And are we directing our anger in the right area? We have no idea. The convenient response is to blame Boone and blame Cashman and fire both of them because that's what we've been fed by so many people every day. Okay? Soto has stopped hitting, yeah, because they stopped pitching to him. Look at his on-base percentage; it's still over 400. He's drawing a hell of a lot more walks. Yeah, he's popping up and stuff like that, but he's drawing a lot more walks. His on-base percentage hasn't changed; it's still high, and that's one of the things that he's here for his on-base percentage to help the other guys, the guys like Aaron Judge, drive him in and stuff. So if he's not going to hit, but if he's going to walk, it still gives Judge an opportunity to drive him in. So. But yeah, I would like to see Soto hit more too. But he's already on pace for like 35 to 40 home runs and 100 ribbies. So, and those would be career highs for him. So that's something to keep in mind too. A lot of people are pissed off with the 14-year drought. But also a lot of those people think it's that easy. Think that Cashman can just go out and get whatever he wants whenever he wants. That's not the reality. So, right? Imagine if we made the trade for Matt Olson. It probably would, but would it have prevented them from getting Soto? I have no idea. Tim King, but it would be nice to think. Olson was my first pick over Freeman and over Rizzo. I love Olson. He would have been awesome here, I think. So, and it's another good point. When a player goes on the IL, the players that play in his place try to do too much. And the fact is, some of our key some of our key backups are also on the IL, which leaves us with unappealing options right now, like Jahmai Jones and J.D. Davis, and I totally get that. Totally get that. So that's a frustrating part too, right? I mean, Jazz Chisholm would represent I think, an intriguing opportunity here for the Yankees because he would provide uh, energy and swag, and then like he would bring a different dynamics, a combination of speed and power from the lefty side, and another guy. See, this is yeah, Hal's not cheap. We have the biggest payroll in baseball, so what people keep saying Hal's cheap, and I'll just say this, people keep saying, "Oh, the Yankees are sitting on $800 million." No, they're not. Profits is not the same thing as revenue. It's completely different. Okay. I have a degree in economics. I've broken this down. I've had people on the channel. We've broken this number down. Okay. They're not cheap. Should they in some cases spend more wisely? Sure. But do they give big people big deals that have a trend of getting hurt? Not really. Stanton didn't really have a significant injury history before he came here, right? Neither did Cole. Neither did a lot of these other guys. So, you know, those are crappy breaks for the Yankees too. They're not always the best at dealing with it. There's no denying that either. And Jazz is definitely a fun player, 100%. Right? So, yeah, on base percentage, yeah. I mean, this is why good contact hitters, guys like who can do like Juan Soto. If you're not going to hit, you're patient enough to draw a walk if the pitches aren't right. Right? If you know you can draw a walk, then do that. And don't try to hit home run just because there's guys on base when you know you have one home run for the year, or zero. Like, that's a waste of time, right? So, according to Cashman's letting put, I mean, Boone's running the lineups with what he's working with, right? So, yeah, it's crazy. Well, Hector Cruz, yeah, I mean, it's a good point, right? With so many positions playing poorly, it's hard to decide where to trade for help. I think, and if you weren't in the beginning, I had a chart up. The Yankees lead the majors right now in runs scored. So it looks like, and Joey from the shift points in, they scored 90, which is in line with pretty much the 5 runs per game that they've been averaging all season. 96 runs in the last 20 games. So to me, it shows that some more contact guys that can get on base and help the runs, the people that drive in the runs, manufacture more runs. Right? We need to lengthen the lineup. We need Stanton to get back here and healthy, and we need Birdie to come back in the lineup. And I never thought I would say we need John Birdie, but we do. Right? And whoever we get at the deadline, I think needs to be a strategic get. We need to upgrade at second. We need to upgrade at third. There's no denying that. Okay, I'm happy with Ben Rice right now. I think he's taken Cody Bellinger out of the equation right now, in my opinion. So, well, this is what I'm talking about, Brandon. Yeah, Andrew Nardi and Tanner Scott would be an appealing trade option if the Yankees could do that. And if you could add Jazz Chisholm to the trade, and this is what Ryan and Hector were talking about on the other day when we had our roundtable. You add Jazz Chisholm to the trade, you add the dynamic that the Yankees don't have, a guy that could help them run him over, drive him over, and steal bases and create havoc on the base paths, right? And then you add some additions to the bullpen. But I do think the Yankees, if they're not quietly looking for an impact starting pitcher, they should be. They should be. So he could be our Ellie De La Cruz. I mean, he's just as exciting. And I think you get him out of Miami, you put him in he's just more suited for New York. I really do think that. And we do need, we need players who hit the ball with contact and not have to, rely on hitting home runs all the time. Juan Soto doesn't rely on hitting home runs. Clearly, he hits some because he has a good eye. He's an elite, eye to the ball coordination. So Judge hit them. If you watch them, they're some of the most level swingers, right? Which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, the Hal is cheap argument is just, it doesn't really have much credibility because the Yankees have had one of the highest payrolls in baseball for the last decade. So, Tim King was Luis Castillo. The Luis Castillo trade, they wanted the Yankees 1, 2, 3, 4 prospects. That would have been Volpe, Wells, Peraza, and Dominguez. Okay, those were the 4 at the time, and they got 1, 2, 3, and 5 from Seattle, which is why Castillo's over there. But has Castillo led the Mariners to the World Series? No. It's good, but has he led them to the World Series? So, it's stuff like this that's not really talked about, right? Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, there've been times, not intentionally, that they spent them on the wrong players, right? As all teams do. You think that the Padres are bragging about their $200+ million contract to Xander Bogaerts right now? Very highly doubt it. Or you Darvish, that big icon, doubt it, right? So, which is crazy. Yeah, Luis Castillo. COVID, yeah, and we do know the Yankees lost more revenue in COVID than any other team did. So, and it is what it is. But the Yankees have also done a good job at revitalizing and uh, getting their revenues back too. So, both sides apply to that. I think the Yankees are quietly pursuing starting pitching. And as they should be. And if that happens, you get a starter, you can move one of the starters like Luis Hill or Ernesto Cortez, just move them to the bullpen, a long relief. And I don't know, Tim King. I mean, what if he sucked here, Luis Castillo? I mean, and would we be blaming Brian Cashman for that one? Probably, right? Yeah, wow. This is this is one of the facts that I think that aren't being talked about. Is a lot of people are spending far too much energy looking for who to blame, looking for somebody to blame, and not from not talking about how this type of stuff happens. I mentioned yesterday the 2000 Yankees when they won the World Series under Joe Torre. They finished the season, I think it was 4-16, and their fans were outraged and so on and so forth. But they won the World Series. Okay, and we're in July. The season doesn't end for another several months. Okay, and the chart, yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but the Yankees are leading the major leagues in runs scored right now, over every team in baseball. They average 5 runs a game. So, and these are some of the facts that counter a lot of the talking points. But that doesn't mean fans can't be frustrated or vent. They can. But like I said, at least when it comes to here, if I'm going to vent, I want to vent on the right information, not someone else's talking points. Right? And that's just me. Other people can do whatever they want. Anna Marie, you're absolutely right. They need to play more small ball. We need to get, somebody or maybe 2 guys here that would help facilitate the small ball to let the run, producers do their thing. Right? I would rather Judge be batting with 2 guys on base more often than him batting solo. I would rather Soto be batting with 2 guys on base than the other way around. The same thing goes with Stanton and so on. And I think somebody, even a contact hitter at the 4 spot will be a good idea. Doesn't have to be a superpower guy. We already have Soto. We already have Judge. We have Stanton when he comes back. A good contact hitter at the 4 spot would be a good idea. All right. I think it would be a fantastic idea. Who? Don't know yet. No, but that would, really, really lengthen the lineup. And again, push Stanton back to the 5 spot or the 6 spot, and then you can have Verdugo at 7. You can have Torres at 8, like if he's still here, like where it's more appropriate right now, instead of them batting 4 or 5. They have no business at 4 or 5. No. But yeah, I mean, contact back speed. Like who's a contact that also has speed that possibly is available. Luis Robert, Cody Bellinger. But then again, where would they play is the other question. Right? We have Ben Rice doing his things. And again, keep in mind, anybody that they bring in that has a high salary, it's just going to take away from what they could give to Juan Soto. And if the priority number one is to bring back Juan Soto, then they need to keep that in mind, which is why I'm hoping that Ben Rice pans out and doesn't turn into another Greg Bird with the injuries. Right? I'm hoping that he pans out. He's an Ivy League educated player. He's from Dartmouth. He's a smart guy. He always prepared, always has a plan. So I like that. Right? So, yeah, I mean, small ball is important. It really is important. So, by the way, if you haven't hit that like button, please hit that like button, gang. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel. It's always greatly appreciated. So, Bregman. So, this is the other thing, Mike Rocky. This is a good. So, Bregman, you look at it two ways, right? If character matters, you better check in with Judge and you better check in with Stanton and Cole first to see if they would be okay with getting Bregman. Bregman is ice cold in the playoffs, ice through his veins. But that's we need that. But if character is important, remember what the Astros cheating scandal, he did not carry himself well. So, but again, if I had to choose between him and Trevor Bauer, I would go with Alex Bregman. Okay. Yeah, 3 homers by Rice in that one game. They erupted that game. They really, really did. It just goes to show how the potential of this offense. But, we just need consistency from this offense. We really, really do. The Devastators in the house. So, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, for NFL, they're in Tampa right now. I hope that they're actually working on something. I hope it's not just a symbolic gesture. And I hope they're, if anybody asked them, because I sent out I put a video the video I put up this morning. I was asking them, what are you going to do? Right? Fans need to be either reassured or inspired or encouraged or all three right now. And telling us, we're working on some things. That's not going to inspire a lot of confidence. Give me 1 second. I got to get my laptop charger. Buddy. Got to plug it in. All right, so there we go. All right, it's charged up. It's charging up. So, yeah, speed and youth, an injection of energy, and it's something to definitely liven up this team, right? Well, that's another thing, Steve, too. The Yankees, the Cohen tax will make a likely trading for Bregman, just like it would likely Cody Bellinger. Like, unless Brian Cashman can offload some salary in return, it's going to be unlikely. It's going to be unlikely, right? So, well, keep in mind, we have $100 million coming off the books, which is one reason why I think a trade for, let's say, Tanner Scott and Andrew Nardi makes sense, right, from the Marlins. Tanner Scott is going to be free agent at the end of the year, but Andrew Nardi has 3 more years of control. And those controllable years, you have Scott Efros has 3 more controllable years too coming back. Those controllable years are going to make it easier to afford signing Juan Soto, right? And so I do think any trades that Brian Cashman makes will probably include some semblance of players that have controllable years and not just big expensive contracts. So that's just the basic math too. It's got to make sense that way. There was talk about depends on there's no doubt Johnny T that Cortez he is a pro. But if you get, let's just say you get a Tarek Skubal from Tiger, it's going to cost a boatload of money. But I would either move Cortez into long relief or move him in a trade for someone else. But there's no doubt Cortez is a pro. He's absolutely a pro. Right now, based on where we're at, I think he's the number two. If we had made the playoffs, he would be the number two. And it shouldn't be that way. Rodon should be the number two, and he's not showing to be the number two right now. At least a convincing number two. And that's a problem. Japanese first, Munetaka Murakami. He also plays third base too, Tim King. So that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, so he still could be in an option for the Dodgers. I think he's a free agent in 2 more years. He's 23 right now, and unless you're posted early, the age requirement, the minimum age requirement is 25. But they do have Freeman, yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see. And that other kid, Roki Sasaki, that pitcher that a lot of people are like drooling over. So there's another one. So I think some are, Steve. If you looked at recently, Judge has struck out in a lot of key spots. And Soto, he's been striking fear in pitchers more often than Judge has. Even though Judge has more home runs, obviously, and so on. He's on pace for probably 60 or whatnot, and he's batting 3-something. But, it looks like, and they can pitch around both of them because look who's batting behind them. Verdugo or Torres, and how often are these guys moving Judge or Soto over? You can just put those 2 guys on base, right? And nobody behind them. You don't have Stanton healthy. When Stanton was healthy, he was knocking all these guys in with hits and home runs and everything else. So, but he's not in there. He's not here now. We have other guys, and this is why pitchers are feasting on this right now. They're taking advantage of the opportunity to not have to pitch to Soto, and in some cases, not have to pitch to Judge. So, I mean, Yankees and the Astros and ALCS, yeah, Willard, yeah. I mean, them or the Orioles. So, yeah. 100%, man. Rizzo's gone. I think, honestly, I think Rizzo's gone either way. He has a team option for next year, which I don't think the Yankees are going to exercise. So, but, he's as good of a mentor to Ben Rice as you could get. And he's a pro. He's a leader. He's a great teammate. I mean, that's an important reality. So, he is a good dude. He's a pro. But Ben Rice, I mean, he's looking good right now. So he looks like he could be a successor. It's obvious? Nothing's obvious right now, but he could be. So we'll see what happens. So, to end their feud, let him play in the ALCS. But, I mean, best team in the American League right now is probably the Orioles, not the Astros or the Yankees, unfortunately. Willard, you know what? I have a feeling I think they're going to let Rizzo go at the end of the year. I would watch out for Houston. I have a feeling that they're going to be in the running to acquire Pete Alonso from the Mets. I would watch out for them. Playoff Judge. Well, that's what I'm talking about, Mello, right? Judges, come up small a lot of situations in the playoffs, and we need him to come up big. And do they want to face Soto in the playoffs or Judge? Probably right now they would rather face Judge because he hasn't come through as often. And it's easier to just walk Soto. It's one reason why his on-base percentage will probably never go down. So, yeah, Juan DeFranco officially charged with sexual abuse. Yep. In the Dominican Republic. Yep. Murakami, yeah. I mean, I don't really care if they get a Murakami or not. Like, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if anybody. I mean, I think a team would be willing to give probably international prospect money for Torres. That's about it. Grisham, I don't know. I'm not sure. He's got another year left in his contract too. So I was bummed too. Yeah, Godoza haven't heard, and I feel like, I'm gonna put this up. I'm bummed as well. And Clayton Beater had a shoulder injury again, reported it yesterday, and looks like he's going to miss the season, which sucks. So we need Will Warren, man. At this point, I have more confidence in Will Warren than I do with some of these other guys on the Yankees right now, right? So always problem because we were playing them. Yeah, I mean, I think Mike, you're right. You're 100% right, and I think that deadline moves for the Yankees need to be strategic. And I would be like, what do we need that's going to help neutralize the O's or get past the O's, right? And definitely a contact bat with some speed will do them some good, and a good reliever too. So potentially a really good starting pitcher. So, like I said, this is not a one-player fix. This is a multiplayer fix. So I'm hoping that they're aggressive. Stephen B, what's good, my friend? Yeah. That's crappy news on Clayton Beater, man. Really crappy news. Yeah. We would get the Twins in the playoffs for yes, we would. Thinking yes, we would. I'd rather have the Twins than the Orioles right now, or Twins than someone else or the Guardians. I'd rather Twins than the Guardians too. Um, why can't we strike first? Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about, David. It would be nobody's really striking first right now with no significant trades, and one of the problems is the prices are either too high, or teams haven't decided whether they're going to be sellers or buyers. Like right this morning, I'm hearing that the Nationals now might pivot to being sellers, and if that's the case, then the Yankees should be talking to them about their closer, Kyle Finnegan. So, but we'll see. We just don't know right now which team, because there's too many teams in contention, and we don't know who's available, and that's one of the frustrating parts. So, yeah, Mike Ford's playing in Japan. Yes, he is. Former Yankee Mike Ford. I think they're going to try and trade Torres, but I'm not sure, honestly, who would want him. I'm really not sure. No. Yeah, I mean, Andrew Nardi, Tanner Scott. I do think they're going to bring in two relievers one way or the other. Whether it's two trades or a trade in the call-up, and then we're going to see two new relievers in this bullpen. No. Umpires. I think certain umpires, Willard, are unwilling to change their ways, right? So, and it creates this freaking problem around baseball where umpires are universally hated. But there are some, I'm glad Angel Fernandez retired. Some of these umpires are awful, and rightfully so. There's a couple other ones that are just brutal too. I wouldn't say diva, but I would say probably problematic. I think there needs to be retraining for umpires. Every year or two, have some type of retraining course for the umpires to stay sharp and do all these types of things. They know doctors have to do it, so many other people have to do it to stay sharp. I think the umpires need to do the same thing. Yeah, it would be nice if Torres came back, but at this point, I think it's too late. Unfortunately, but we'll see what they do. I mean, if they don't address second base, then they clearly feel the way you feel. You'll see that they think, they're hoping that he gets back to his playing ways. So, but I think it would be a good idea for them to shake it up. Second base and third base. Yeah. Two lefty arms. I'm with you right there, Anthony. Two lefty arms in the pen. Right. And again, that's the crazy stat today, right? The Yankees lead the majors in runs scored, which is nuts. Yeah, first postseason. Yeah, the first postseason without injury. Got that right, Anna. Amen to that, sister. Amen. Yeah. The problem, Tim King, with Miami is that they were unwilling to pay his salary, and that's one reason they moved on from Arias. They didn't want to pay his salary, and Torres makes more than Arias. So, but then again, if you take somebody like Jazz Chisholm and some of these other guys, I mean, maybe you could find something if they add some good prospects, or maybe Miami would represent the fit if we're taking some other salaries from them. So yeah. Oh yeah. Peraza third, Cabrera second. I mean, possibly. It just doesn't look like by their actions that they have a a lot of faith in either one of those guys. Otherwise, they'd be playing more often. That's unfortunate. I mean, Cabrera brings good energy, you know, and he gets hot and cold with his bat, yes, but he brings good energy to the team. So, would I like to see him more often? Sure. Shift, bro. Don't be sorry for yelling, man. Sometimes it needs to happen. Sometimes it needs to happen, right? Richie Ruggs. I mean, this is the body language does say a lot. Yes, it does. I do think we miss Birdie too. I do think that you know, miss Birdie and we miss Stanton more than we'd like to admit. Stanton was very valuable for this team this year. So he was a big part of that offense. Big part of that offense. So um yeah, well these umpires are like sometimes you get these umpires like I can understand the argument for robot umps and all that stuff because of the consistency of the strike zone and you'll be, accurate with that stuff. But like, I don't want to take the human element out of the game, which is why I think retraining, like, get these umpires to become better, right? Keep training them so that they can be calling better games and so on. So, yeah, Billy, exactly, Comenza. Again, like, it's you can do it without trashing everybody on the team, right? The fact of the matter is, we need um, Cashman and Hal to inspire the fans, encourage the fans, reassure the fans, right? And we're all frustrated. I get it. And I just like to communicate the frustrations differently than other places do. And that's all. This is why I say no when people ask me why don't I try. I've had people say recently saying you're not going to grow your channel. It's not going to be credible if you don't trash them. No, no, no. How are you ever going to get somebody to drop their guard and give you information and all that stuff if you're trashing them? They're going to ignore you. They're going to laugh at you. I would, right? So I'd rather challenge them and motivate them to do something. Birdie's a couple of weeks, Raymond, from coming back. So he's Birdie. It sounds as if he'll be back right after the All-Star break. Well, exactly, Robert. Yankee fans just keep watching. Yep. They will keep watching no matter what. Yeah, and Stanton goes on hot streaks just like Bernie. You're absolutely right. Like he'll get super high, he'll be unstoppable, and then at some point he'll get hurt, and he'll come back, he'll stink for a minute, and then he'll get hot again. So it's just like the cycle of Stanton. So we talked about that too for years as well. That's unfortunately, but it is what it is, right? Jay needs to act like a C. What do you mean, Richie Ruggs? What do you mean, bud? NFL referees do that, Robert. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about Ben Royfed. He's not here, so and good for him. Good for him. He's in a better spot. He's playing more consistently. He wasn't playing consistently here, so. But I mean, I always wanted the Yankees to play Ben Royfed more. My ideal trade deadline. Ideal trade deadline would be to acquire either Nate Eovaldi or Tarek Skubal, and get Andrew Nardi as well as Tanner Scott from the bullpen. And if you can add Jazz Chisholm to it, even better. If not, I'd get a contact back from somewhere else. But that would be my ideal trade deadline. Danny, what would yours be? Oh, captain. Oh, Judge. Yeah, Rich. Yeah, this is the thing too. Like, this is one reason I'm a proponent of. I said Cole should be co-captain because he's more vocal than Judge is. Judge reminds me of Jeter. They carry themselves like a pro. They stay out of trouble. They do the right thing, which is great. They set an example in that regard in their behavior. But we don't see him playing the mentor role and do all that stuff. That's why the other guys like Rizzo are so valuable because that's the intangible that they bring to the team when they're not performing, when they're slumping, when they're, when people are complaining about that stuff, they're doing this stuff behind the scenes. So they're bringing value one way or the other. So, but do we wish Judge would be more assertive and vocal? Yeah, sure. Michael King, that's a good question. I'm not sure how he's doing this year. Keep playing side. This is what I'm talking about, man. Which is crazy, that chart that I had in the beginning here. Jonathan, I saw it. The Yankees lead the majors in runs scored. Is it 470 something runs? 460 something runs. They're averaging 5 runs a game. So, which is nuts. Cole is definitely feisty. He reminds me of CC Sabathia. Those guys together would have been a freaking dynamic duo. So, yeah. We don't know, Morris. Can't say that. Still don't get it. Dude, I've said this repeatedly. Okay, don't tell me I don't get it. All right. That's what happens with Stanton. Did I say he was going to come back and be the top again? No, I did not. So don't waste your time trying to put words in my mouth, dude. I will call you out on it. Okay? I said he gets hurt, comes back, he stinks for a little while, then he becomes unstoppable. This is what happens, and he gets hurt again. This is the cycle with Stanton. This is the cycle. Okay? There's no dreaming. That's what's likely going to happen. Do I expect him to be lights out when he comes back? Nope. I don't think anybody should. Do I expect the lineup to be completely supercharged when he comes back? Nope. It's all got to happen gradually. It's all got to happen kind of organically. Yeah, Anime, and that's yeah. Like CC and and Garrett Cole would have been a perfect pairing, man. My God. Yeah, and Strowman had his own teammates. Yeah, exactly. At least he owned it. At least he owned up to it, Hector. So, but Strowman, this is why I like, bringing somebody like Jazz Chisholm because he brings energy, brings flair to a team that's generally very buttoned up and just stiff, right? And a lot of times lifeless. No. Are the Blue Jays going to have? I don't think as much as people think. I don't think they're going to trade Vlad. I think they could trade Bo, but I would be surprised if they trade Vlad. Yeah, Volpe. I would have him in the bottom third of the lineup too, Danny. Or at worst, 6th or something like that. I want someone else who will be a disruptor because Volpe seems to be better when he's batting with guys on base. He can drive them over rather than being a table setter. So I would rather have him out of that leadoff spot. Right? So Stroh's, I love Stroh's intensity and passion too. 100%. 100%. And a lot of us like Rice at first base as well. I think that he's probably taking Cody Bellinger out of the equation. So Yankees signed Tim Meza to a minor league deal. Uh-oh. Who's Tim Meza? Thank you, Harry Parker. Thank you. Patrick, I don't know about that. But I wonder why they haven't called up Vivas. I wonder why. Well, maybe it's because they think he's going they'll use him as a trade piece. And they don't want him to come up and either get hurt or stink and lose trade value. So, and Joey talked about this quite a bit too the other day on this channel. So, and it's an important point. They could be using him as trade bait, just like Oswald Peraza. They could be using him as trade bait too. So, let them continue to just crush it at AAA, and then somebody will take a chance on him. Yeah, Rice the curtain call. He was hesitant to do it, but it was really cool to get him out there and smiling and happy. And that was great. Mesa from the Blue Jays. Okay. Blue Jays are willing to trade players with expiring contracts and not with control beaters. Who's on an expiring contract from the Jays? I mean, Vlad's got another year, but I think Bichette's got another year. Coach Carl, what's happening, my man? Chaz. You mean Jazz Chisholm, Carl? Chisholm from the Marlins? I mean, I would personally rather have like Ryan McMahon is my first pick, but I don't know if the Yankees. I don't know if the Rockies going to make him available. I pick him over everybody else. Carl. I mean, like Jazz Chisholm. Does he bring a dynamic that the Yankees don't have? Yes, but he's got to be, in my opinion, one of the pieces that they bring in, not the only piece that they bring in. Just like Rengifo from the Angels, he's got to be one of the pieces, not the piece. If we're just gonna do one bat, I'm going for Ryan McMahon. I really am. So, I'm telling you, it's peep shows, huh? Tim King, crazy man. Mesa last outing, 5 earned runs against the Yankees, 0 innings, wonderful. Another depth piece. Hopefully Matt Blake can do something with him. We'll see. Who knows? He may not even make it up to the majors. Yeah, I know Elias Diaz. I mean, if I'm going to trade with the Rockies, I want McMahon. If Elias comes with the package, fine. But I don't want him instead of McMahon. I want McMahon. So, 152 area. Mesa had a 152 area last year. Okay. Well, that's a good stat, too. Shift. Let's see, we're doing our homework. That's good. Okay. So he was pretty good very recently. So that means maybe Matt Blake can do something there and take him from a sub like a 6 ERA down to a 2 ERA, which he's done a lot of times with the Yankees, Matt Blake. So, but he can't be the only the arm that Brian Cashman acquires. So please. Oh, sorry, Anna. Whoops. Yeah. I mean, Raymond, appreciate that, man. Dude, we try to keep it level-headed here. That's it. We encourage people to vent. But I say this all the time. If we're going to vent, let's vent on accurate information. Let's vent on the right info. Okay, that way we're not just all over the place with talking points and conspiracy theories. We're not fighting with other channels and fighting oh, thank you, Anna. That's right, we get that hand thing. Give you a little, like a blue steel too, Anna. Kikuchi, so he would be a guy that would be. I'd rather him be here than us pitch. He shut our asses down on opening day against the Blue Jays. So, and I would rather have him here, and he would probably come on the cheap anyway, right? So, look at that, got a deer back here. Cool. We don't have Tim. You're right. This. Next week is the draft, right? And I think it would be a good idea for the Yankees to draft a corner infielder or a couple of them in the first 5 rounds, whether it be a first baseman and a third baseman or some combination of the two, and at the college level, so that the path to them to get to the majors is probably not as long as it would be if they're a high school player or if they're drafted in the lower rounds, right? So I hope they spend time drafting corner infielders. And I will cover the draft next week. I will update you on everything. So like I always say, make sure you're subscribed here That way you don't miss that type of stuff. I will cover everything. So why do we continue to see Grisham? Because of lack of options, Matt. I think, you know, they'll ride the bench a little bit more once John Birdie comes back, right? And what depending on who they get for the infield, I think DJ's got to be a utility guy coming off the bench, and Grisham, fourth outfielder too. So like, but he's the fourth outfielder, right? And there's another reason why we see him, because Jason Dominguez isn't here. Dominguez is hurt. He would have been the guy replacing Giancarlo Stanton right now, but he's not, because he's on the IL for like 8 weeks. So the deadline is July 30th. So he would be a rental, because he's one of those expiring contract guys for the Yankees. So but he wouldn't be the first guy I would go after. He could be a complimentary piece, right? But I mean, I would want them to go after a frontline pitcher. So, right? So, and Craig Nels, yes, he is retired. Guys, I think Tim King just he called us to duty. We got to get Joey from the shift at third base, NFE at second. He want me in the bullpen. We just got called to duty by Tim King, man. I'm on it. Brother. They do have a few infielders in the system. The problem is they're all middle infielders, not corner infielders. Right? Vivas, Arias, Lombard, they're all shortstops. Lombard, it sounds like he's going to profile as a better fit for third base, but he's still several years away. As soon as this live stream's over, I'm going to get dressed and I'm going to go report to camp too. So, Schiff used to play third, so here we go. I used to pitch. So, let's go. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, DJ's got a couple years left on his contract, and they have, this is why John Birdie coming back makes it easier to see DJ, right? So we need these guys to come back healthy. We need them to acquire somebody else so that we're not waiting for DJ or relying on him and JD Davis. Like, I think once Birdie comes back, or if they make a trade for an infielder, JD Davis likely gets DFA'd, right? So you see how the shift also pitched. McMahon, I think, is the bet fit, Carl, but the price tag is going to be high, right? And yeah, I'm not sure we can get him either. I mean, the problem is, and I don't know if you're on when I said this, but like a lot of teams that are moving from sellers to buyers, right? Because of the landscape of the the league right now. There are teams that are under 500 that are still in contention. It's like, what? It's crazy. Renjifo's on the IL, but he could be a fit too. But he's not the one bat. Like, if I'm going to go for the one bat, I'm going for Ryan McMahon. Right. So, well, that's the other thing too. Like, guys were stealing, but like we got crushed by the Red Sox with stolen bases. We need guys to be able to steal bases and run and just put the ball in play and run base. Like, we need guys. If they're at first and you get a single, we need them to get to third. If we're at first and you get a double, we need them to score. Right. We don't need these guys to stop at third if somebody hits a double. We need some guys who can actually run the bases. So. And that's the thing. So we got Matt Begley's calling it. All right, we got the call of duty for Begley too. Corner infield and pitch. Let's go, baby. Come on. It's 4 guys, 4 bodies coming. Jared Cerner looks he's undersized, but he does look promising. So does Caleb Durbin, but I think he's still hurt. He's in AAA. I mean, Anna, you and me both. I'm right there with your girlfriend. Here we got Jazz, McMahon, Crochette, and Tanner Scott. Like, that would be nuts. But that would be 3 separate trades. You can get Jazz and Scott in the same trade, and then McMahon would be separate and Crochette. I mean, but you would probably lose in those trades. I mean, Will Warren, Jason Dominguez. You're going to lose a lot. But those are that'd be one heck of a deadline. So, Carl. I mean, it was like a couple of years ago. It was further down in August, and I don't know why it got moved. I really don't know. No. Yeah, Birdie, he's already doing activities and stuff. So, and he's going to be doing his starting his rehab assignment shortly. So, Birdie, yeah, yeah. I mean, he could be. He's a good defender. He's fast. He's one of the fastest guys in all of baseball. Um, he could be the answer at third base too. But he could also be. Let's just say that out of nowhere to get Mari McMahon, then I would move Birdie to second base and have Birdie at second and McMahon at third. He has positional versatility too, John Birdie, which is what I like about him and some of these other players. So that to me is another. But we have no idea. Brian Reynolds, Danny, I don't know. It's a good question. He's playing extremely well. Brian Reynolds, he's been playing well. Danny, I don't know. I have a feeling that the Yankees trade with the Pirates. I said the other day on my roundtable, it's probably going to be with somebody like Nick Gonzalez. He's like a young, dynamic infielder. He plays multiple positions. He's got lots of years of control. He's 25 years old. His name's Nick Gonzalez from the Pirates. I have a feeling it'll be something like that. 37-man roster because Dominguez, Beater, and Pereira. I have to go double check that. And look at this, the Pirates are only 4 games out of it. This is what I'm talking about, right? Teams that you think and like they stink, but they're close to being in contention, which is nuts. But Reynolds' contract was extended for about 5 years. He wanted to leave the Pirates because he thought he wasn't getting an extension, but he got an extension, and then he was, I guess, happy again. So, well, there are two. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and Carl brings up an important point because there are too many teams in limbo. And it leaves us with a lack of clarity, especially as Yankee fans. We don't know what the Yankees can get because we don't know who's available, right? And that's one of the problems. It's one of the problems. And it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. Honestly, Anna, I think the Mets are going to trade Alonso. I think they should trade Alonso. I think they should trade Alonso and a couple of other players and just start to build around Lindor and little Acuna and some of these other guys. I think they can get a decent prospect package for Alonso. He's going to be a free agent, but a team, I could see him going to Seattle. I could see him going to Houston. So he'd be a good fit for an American League team at this point. And again, a team who's likely one piece away or feels like they're one piece away would be more than willing to give up a good package for him. Right? Generally, a 60-day IL is the procedural move. Like if somebody's on the IL already and you get transferred to the 60-day, it's generally retroactive to when you first initially came on the IL. So it's not we're putting you on the 60-day and the 60-day starts today, unless you've never been in the IL before. Unless you're like you tear something and it's going to be out. It's going to be a months long injury. But generally, somebody being transferred to the 60-day IL is a procedural move, just to because it takes you off the 40-man roster also, and then it clears the roster to get somebody up here who can also be on the 26. Yes, he will, Carl. You're absolutely right. We talked about this too. Like I put out a video this morning. Like I asked him, like, what are you guys gonna do? Like. And it's crazy, and I don't know for those that haven't heard and didn't see it because I shared it earlier on, the Yankees lead the majors in runs scored as a team, which is I did not expect that. I looked up the chart this morning, the stats, and it's directly from MLB. They lead the majors in runs scored. So I think, again, in order to stay up there, they have to be strategic with what they do with the offense. I need to be aggressive in pitching at the deadline. But what do they go? We need Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner to either inspire us or encourage us or reassure us are all three of them. We really, really do. So Carlos Estevez, he can be a good late in the bullpen on, but again, he's not Carlos Estevez. I would be happy with Estevez and Nair, Estevez and Tanner Scott. I'd be happier with that. So Charlie Sheen. Amazes. It sounds like he's an underrated pickup, Jay Morton. So, I'll take it. I mean, hopefully these are the around the margin moves while they're working on potentially bigger ones. So we'll see. All right. Well, that's what I'm saying, Matt. Yeah, I mean the price, lack of teams, lack of players available, so they're going to put a premium on the ones that are available. Like, you want my guy? Well, 2 other teams in your division want him too. So who's going to overpay? And they're going to create a bidding war between teams. Like Garrett Crochet, like Yankees want him, so do the Orioles. And the Orioles have scouted, Crochet a long time, right? And the White Sox and other teams have scouted the Orioles farm for a long time. So they'll, they can line up pretty effectively. No. We do need a big deadline, Anna. You're absolutely right. Yes, we do. I wouldn't say care more, but I mean, I think they need to be more. They need to put their words to action more. And I think, we need them to back up their words. We need the people who talk. We need them to back up. We never hear Hal talk. And this is one of the difference between him and George Steinbrenner, right? George Steinbrenner, he was all the time the chatterbox for the Yankees, the mouthpiece, and he sometimes shielded the managers from having to deal with criticism. We don't have that now. Aaron Boone takes all the hits, the bee stings, the punches, the shots, everything, because Hal's not there talking and Cashman's not really there talking. So Boone's got to absorb it. Torrey didn't have to do that as much as you thought. Not only did he have a grown-up team and a bunch of pros, but he also had Steinbrenner to absorb everything. We don't have that now. It's a different environment here, right? Carl, what happened to our bullpen? I think it was a strong spot, but then they have fallen apart, just like the starting rotation, right? And it just goes to show that some of the reinforcements that we have, we need back, and some of the guys that this happens with not only the Yankees but a lot of teams. Like when you make mass changes to the bullpen, part of it's going to work for a while, part of it's not going to work for a while. But I do think, Carl, that it will be a wise idea for them to have 2 new faces in the bullpen soon, whether it's a trade and a call-up or 2 trades or whatnot. We need to bring a dynamic, especially from the lefty side of this bullpen, that we haven't been really putting forth before. Luis Robert, Danny, I think he can. The Mariners, my sleeper team for them is the Phillies too. For him, so. And that's the too much work early too. Yeah, I mean, one of the problems. That's a good point, Matt. One of the problems is we didn't get a ton of length. Like we were getting a lot of 5-inning outings from our starters. I mean, they were winning a lot of games and everything, and the Yankees were winning a ton, but they weren't going beyond 5 innings. So it did put an additional stress load on the bullpen. And it's just like, Carl, like. They went from running 60 miles a week to 90 miles a week for a little while, and they weren't ready for it. And it caught up to them, right? So they got to figure that out. And they need some guys here to balance it out. And we also need our starting pitchers to give us a little bit more consistency with length, right? So, and that's what. And we also need and I've talked about this a long time. Long relief, right? Middle relievers. Like JT Brubaker, he'll be here. That's why I say if you get another starter, you have to move somebody like Luis Hill or Nestor Cortes to long relief. You get converted starters in long relief, not converted relievers having to move up. Converted starters, because the long relief serves as a good security blanket for the rotation and the short relievers in the bullpen. That way, if you have a guy that only lasts 2 innings, gets crushed, you can bring in one of these guys to throw 4 or 5 innings. And it's the difference between using 3 pitchers in a game and 8 in a game, right? And that was a problem last year with the Yankees. They went far too often, 6 pitchers, 7 pitchers, 8 pitchers. Way too frequently it happened. We can't have that. We can't have that. No. Tim, I mean, it looks like an underrated deal, Jonathan. So it's a minor league deal too, so he's not on the 40 man. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I mean, is it the move that they need to make for them? No, of course not. Is it the move that they want? No. But I'm not surprised. These are these margin moves that Cashman makes all the time. So, boredom. I don't think there's anybody worth giving up Spencer Jones for, but I think you're right. I don't think they will give him up in a big trade. Yeah. George, he ripped his manager, he ripped his players. I mean, he was banned from baseball because he hired a bookie to try to create dirt on Dave Winfield. And he was busted. He was banned from baseball for life, right? He was reinstated after 3 years, but while he was banned, that's when they drafted Derek Jeter. That's when they brought in some of these other guys from the core 4. He was gone. But he also tried to trade Derek Jeter. He also tried to trade Mariano Rivera. So a lot of times, like, I appreciated the fact that he loved his team and loved being the owner, and he took pride in being the Yankees owner. That's fantastic. But he also, his mouth got him into trouble far too often. Far too many irrational reactions to stuff. So, he was almost like the best and the worst, and never in the middle. So, and that's just the way the boss rolled. That's why he's, one reason why he's a legend. Yeah. George, he would say what we were thinking. Well, that too, Mike. That too. Yeah. Schmidt's definitely been missed. I'm looking forward to him coming back, and he could be the starter that they get. I mean, I would like for them to add another starter beyond that, but I'd be happy if Schmidt came back and pitched well like he was pitching before. So, Luzardo he was like a flavor of the week, but he's had injury problems, and so, he was like a flavor of the month for me that I've heard, Luzardo. So. The Schmidt injury definitely hurt. Rodon, and he keeps putting us in a hole way too early in the game, and it looks like sometimes he's in his own head. Like, he settled down yesterday after the first inning, but we were in a 4-0 hole, and right now our offense is not capable of coming back and even in the game. I mean, we didn't make it 4-3 until, what was it, the 7th inning with Ben Rice. So by then, Rodon was far gone, long gone. So. He puts us in a hole way too often, Anna. Yeah. So I do think he's partly in his head, just like Gleyber Torres is as well. Yeah. Oh yeah. Jones, no. You'd give up Jones for Crochet? I wouldn't. I give up Dominguez for Crochet and Kopech, but not Jones. Jones is rated higher than Dominguez. I hope so, Mike. I hope Schmidt plays well when he comes back. I really, really do. Well, yeah, I mean, if you could get Skubal and Scott, I would give up Dominguez for Skubal too. So Skubal and Scott would be phenomenal. But what if Texas becomes sellers? Like, you can go after Nathan Eovaldi too. He's come a long way since the first time he came here. I don't think it would be Javi Vasquez Part 2. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, and he's playoff tested with Texas and in Boston. So he's grown up a heck of a lot and developed quite a bit since the last time he's been here. Nathan Eovaldi would also not require half the farm like Skubal would. So, Skubal is, you want to get a front end dude, a big dude. That's the guy, Skubal. Crochet as well, but Crochet is also a converted reliever turning into a starter. Skubal's always been a starter, so there's no really worry about that when it comes to durability and things like that. Crochet, we're still wondering if is there an innings limit? Is he going to be able to maintain his production and so on? So I don't know. I don't worry about that with Scooble. I would pass on D-Rob at this point. I would want to get someone else. Scooble is like a very elite left-handed pitcher. Good junk, good fastball. He's got him and Crochet have just a nasty repertoire of pitches. Yeah. He's got a nasty repertoire of pitches. I don't follow the Tigers much either. The Tigers stink, but I think Scooble will be better off here. Yeah, and Rodon gets hit too. Yeah, that's right. Nestor's been good. He's been better at home than he's been away. And it depends on what you can get in a trade for Nestor Cortez. Like, can you get one of the infielders that you need? Then yeah. And will Schmidt come back in time enough to offset what we lose on Cortez is the other question. And will they acquire another pitcher as well? There's too many questions right now that remain with 3 weeks out from the deadline. Way too many questions that remain. But yeah, he would give us that stud. I mean, just think of Cole Cece prime. Like, this would be Cole Cece. Lefty starter. Yeah. He would be, I think he would be fantastic in this rotation. Yes, Jones is rated higher than Dominguez. His charts, his metrics, they're all rated higher than Dominguez. How many years left on school? I think he's got 2 more after this year. I think he's got 2 more years after this year. He's 27 years old, too. He's also playing well. I think he's 10-2 or 10-3 with like a 2.30 ERA and 130 strikeouts. So he's having a pretty good year. Yeah. What would it take to get him? I think it would have to. Dominguez would have to be in there. Probably Will Warren and another prospect. I think, but I don't know if they're moving him. Flaherty seems to be the more likely one that they move. Yeah. Yeah, Gio. Yeah, I know some people wanted Gio back. Is he better than Oswaldo Cabrera at this point? I don't know. That's my curious question. Don't know. Really don't know. He's been cutting down quite a bit on his strikeouts. His speed, his power, his contact rate, those are the metrics that they grade. He's graded at the highest. He's graded above Dominguez on pretty much everything. And he's gone through the same adjustments. My little assistant. He's gone through the same adjustments. Dominguez had these same struggles. And then he made adjustments and then he took off. Jones just went through these adjustments and now he's taken off again. So, and Jones, they've already said he's the only one that's untouchable for Garrett Crochet. They've already said that. So, and he's also, he runs like Ellie De La Cruz. He's big like Judge and he runs like De La Cruz. So he's unbelievable. She's precious, Anna. Thank you. I've got 3 daughters. That's Madison. She's my baby. She's 2. Well, exactly, Carl. The moves have to make sense, right? They have to be strategic. And the way I look at it is like Scooble represents a logical fit here, right? Ryan McMahon represents a logical fit here. So, certain players. And they're going to cost, yes, they most certainly will. But the moves, and I'm thinking, who would we face in the playoffs? Would it be Houston? Would it be Baltimore? We need players that can help us neutralize these teams and get past them. Period. Yeah, Jones I can't see Jones being traded. So Baez, yeah, I don't know. His contract is way too big, Danny. Change of scenery might help, but I think his contract's too big. Well, that's this got to go through a funk like this. Well, it's definitely it makes the needs more obvious. That's for sure. Pretty much, that's a good point. Trevino, I think he's tradable. So, and go Eagles and Warriors. What's happening? That was the word, but and then maybe he made some different adjustments. He made some stance adjustments. Like some of his posture things were messing with his swing, and he's since refined a lot of that stuff. I've been watching him. He's been crushing the ball recently now. So I would agree, Rob. Scooble for hitting. You start the package with Dominguez. You get Dominguez, and you give him a couple other bats. Like, yeah. I don't know. It would have cost 5 guys, Rob, for Scooble, but you never know. That's the stat, Steve. That's the stat, Steve. I didn't make it up. I posted it for everybody. But I said it, Steve, so that for the people who weren't here early on, didn't hear it, that they heard it again. Augustin Ramirez. Yeah, he's got a much better arm than Trevino. He still has to work on framing and all and so on and so forth, but I think you would have a net upgrade at the catching position offensively. I know there's been talks about Elias Diaz, but again, why Elias Diaz when we have Augustin Ramirez? Those are the strategic questions that I think they might be well off to entertain. Ben Rice was decent as a catcher. He was solid. Yeah, you'd need the Tigers to absorb a lot of that contract. That's for darn sure for Bias. Yep. Depends on who's available, Raymond. I think it's more likely going to be Dominguez that gets traded, not Jones. Yeah. No, exactly. We can't have teams running it. No, we can't. This is why we need, players to neutralize those fast teams, those athletic teams, those power teams. Like Philly's a straight up bruiser, power team. Boston's a straight up athletic, fast team. Orioles are dynamic between the two. We need to be able to counter these teams in the playoffs. Arias, I wouldn't be surprised, Roderick Arias, because he's one of the deep line of shortstops that we have. He's our top international prospect a couple years ago. But if you can get Scooble with Arias and not Dominguez or Jones, I would be all over that. I would not hesitate for 1 second. Like I said, we have other shortstops that are in the system, but we have Volpe anyway. Arias is not taking over for Volpe anytime soon. So, but if you can get him with Arias, that's worth entertaining. Then that's a good one. Yeah, I missed it. Thankfully, they lost last night, so the Yankees didn't lose any ground. So, but how comforting is that? So, I think we keep running Grisham out there because Dominguez is hurt, Carl. If Dominguez wasn't hurt, then we'd be running him out there. I really do. But yeah, he's an elite fielder, but yeah, he really can't hit that much. So Dominguez, I think, would be a better. You can call up Oscar Gonzalez too, if you wanted to. He's another outfielder that the Yankees have. So Yeah, lots of diaper changes, Christopher. Lots of them. Well, I only got one. I have one that's 6. My second one is 4, and this one's 2. So I only got one diaper to change every day. So not for the other 3 girls. Thank the heavens. If you can get Tarek Scooper with Roderick Arias, then that's a trade, man. And it would cost more than Arias, no doubt, but that's a trade right there that you have to entertain. You absolutely have to entertain. Yeah. Ramirez. Throws out 25% of runners. Interesting. No, it doesn't get anything, Carl. I got 642. Yep. I mean, that means I got 3 colleges I got to pay for. I got 3 proms, 3 weddings. I mean, you know the deal, Carl. I'm right with you. Sir. Thankfully, we have running to give us peace of mind and clarity, right? Yeah, Joe, they signed Tim Meza. Yeah, they reported that about 15, 20 minutes ago here. That's cool. Let's call Detroit and pretend to be Cashman. I wish I could have Cashman's phone because these guys are probably all on speed dial, right? So I wish I was in the war room just one day, just listening to them. Like that's why I like that movie. I like that movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner because they're on the phone. They work in the war room. Coming out the baseball bat. Well, thankfully, Anna, I hold the 4th degree black belt in Hapkido, 3rd dan in Tung Shido. So these are my bats. So, but as long as they're good to my girls, it's no problem. But I'll just encourage people to watch watch Den of Thieves, the movie. If you have seen it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The prom date scene. That's how I'm going to do the prom. Right there. So, Cashman has aged. Yeah. Yes, he has. Yeah. Tim Mason. Just a fringe pitcher, Carl. With the Blue Jays. He had good stats last year. I mean, he's one of these non-sexy moves that Cashman's going to do, and especially right now where you have lots of moving parts. And this could also mean that the Yankees could be trading some pitching for hitting. Like, we don't know. So, but he signed him on a minor league deal, so he's not going to be on the 40-man. Yeah, Joe, I'll most likely be on tonight after the game. Yeah. Yep. Summerson, he's Raymond. I'll watch that. My mom told me about Son of Sam. She was in New York at the time, and yep. Do I think the Yankees are going to be very active at the change? I think they'll be active. Yeah, I do. How active, I don't know, but I think they'll be active in the trade deadline. Yeah. Arias, Pereira, Beater, and TJ Runfield for school. I'll sign me up for that. I don't know if it'll be enough, but you sign me up for that. Give me the paper. I'll just But Pereira, Tommy John. Beater has a shoulder injury now, so which is why you'd probably have to swap out Beater with somebody like Will Warren. It's probably what's going to have to happen. Strange because he was embarrassed from last year. Imagine they'd fall out of the race this year. Could you say? You could say, but I don't know if that. I mean, money talks. Yeah. Narvaez best defensive guy. It could be Rob. You might be right. Tim Mazer, yeah. A fringe pitching edition, you know. These are one of these moves that people call dumpster diving from Cashman. So no surprise. He always makes these little moves while they're setting themselves up to hopefully make bigger moves at the deadline. So, but you know, it just sounds like the price have not yet been established for the deadline, so we don't know, right? Poteet's working his way back too, Danny. He'll be back. It sounds like in the All-Star break. Mm-hmm. Had somebody call Grace. Do you know? Yeah, Grace is fantastic. Yeah, Grace is fantastic, Joe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's minor league contract, exactly. So it has no effect on their 40-man roster at all. Yep. But that's what we got. That's what we have, gang. I wanted to see what your thoughts are. And talk about that stat we talked about earlier. The ship podcast. You know, yeah, I mean, be aggressive with the pitching, please. That's what it looks like right now, especially with that chart we put up with the Yankees in the run scoring versus the other teams. Being aggressive with pitching, being strategic with bats, probably be a wise idea. Deadline's July 30th, gang. So, but that's what I have. Anything else comes out, you'll get it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done it. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't done it yet. It's greatly appreciated. Peace and love to all of you. Thank you so much for your contributions, your comments, your insights, your feedback. I think so too. And I expect some moves to happen soon. But everybody have a great day. I'll talk to you all tonight.